Creature Commandos is it's all about the weird. It's a show that I think you mentioned was to me when we were talking, like preparing the story. Creature Commandos feels like a spiritual successor to Doom Patrol,
Oh
which,
yeah.
as I like to describe Doom Patrol, is the best DC TV show you've never heard of. And if you haven't heard of, and now you have because I mentioned it to you, then go look at it and go find it on Max. It's got like 3.5 seasons out, and its second half of season 4, which happens to be its final season, is about to release on Max. There's a trailer out. Go watch it. Timothy Dalton, Brendan Fraser. You've got April Bowlby's in there. What's the name of the I think Joel Wade plays a version of Cyborg in there. You've got Diane Guerrero, I
Diane
think.
Guerrero, yeah.
Diane Guerrero. She plays what's I forget the name of her character, but
Crazy
she's
Jane.
Crazy Jane, which
My
I
favorite
think was one
character easily.
fascinating characters in the show. And yeah, it's a Mad Bomber. Of course, how can I forget Mad Bomber? He plays like this character who's basically all wrapped up in these bandages and for some reason has sunglasses on the whole time. Anywho, like Creature Commandos is set to come out soon, and it feels like very much a Suicide Squad, Doom Patrol esque sort of a show where you've got all these disparate characters who are coming from these various different backgrounds, probably a lot of these characters that you would traditionally think of as villains. And then you've got, of course, Rick Flag Sr., who, if you know Rick Flag from the Suicide Squad movies, he's meant to be Rick Flag's dad, Rick Flag Sr., as the name implies. It's an animated show, which is one thing that I think a lot of people would maybe the average audience member might not expect it to be. They're like, oh, Creature Commandos, new DC thing, the first DC thing. Oh, it's animated. Okay, so all that said, like, tell me, John, like, are you excited about this? Like, what do you think about Creature Commandos? What do you think about the fact that James Gunn said this is going to be basically like the beginning of the new DCU, sort of a appetizer or an aperitif to the new DCU, which is going to kick off on a grander scale with Superman Legacy in theaters, but this animated show is going to come out a year before, like in 2024.
I think I'm really excited because when it comes to weird shit, I am here for it. Like I love weird stuff. Like don't get me wrong, I love straight laced stuff like Superman. Like
Mhm.
I'm excited for Superman. David Cornsweat's been the fan cast for years, so he's great. I'm excited for that, definitely. But when it comes to like the weird nitty gritty characters, that's where I'm at as well. Like I love both, and Creature Commandos definitely ties into more of the horror side because I'm a big horror fan. So I think it would be more along of horror comedy, but with like stuff like Frankenstein, The Bride, and Doctor Phosphorus, and all these weird characters. It does tie into more of that like horror side, and I really
Yeah.
really am excited for that. And the fact like Gunn kind of has a little bit of balls to have this be the beginning. Like obviously we would think like, oh, have it be Batman, have it be Superman, have it be like this extremely well-known character, but it's like no, let's get the niche side. Let's get the niche guys that are like, oh, Creature Commandos, this is weird, but I'm into the weird. Let's go all out on the weird. So you get this, hopefully, this niche audience that maybe wouldn't look at superhero movies or are sick of like the generic superhero movies that we keep getting. So I feel like Gunn is getting that audience and pulling them in,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Okay, let's try. Let's I know you're maybe sick of like there's like the superhero fatigue and all that, but let's so you were into this, let's try to get you into like the grander stuff that a lot of people enjoy like Superman Legacy and Lanterns eventually, Booster Gold, and Swamp Thing and all that, cuz then Swamp Thing is another thing that can definitely pull in that niche crowd. And I feel like that's kind of a smart decision because I like going on the weird because it's like get something unique to really pull people in. And I think Creature Commandos is the way to do that. Whether it goes full horror or horror comedy, I think you'll definitely get that, especially the Doom Patrol audience. But I think you'll get a lot of other niche aspects. I know a friend of mine I was talking to, big horror fan. He's like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of superhero movies, but this Creature Commandos thing definitely has me intrigued. And I think that's a smart way to go because we've seen Batman, we've seen Superman. Let's see Frankenstein kick some ass because I'm ready for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's gonna stand out as something that's very singular, very unique, and as a just a like an appetizer or as an aperitif, as I said earlier, like this initial peek into the world of the new DCU, I think is going to be very enlightening to kind of see what James Gunn's creative approach is. And I know it's animated, so there you kind of can do a few things in animation that you maybe necessarily can't do in live action, and vice versa. But we know that James Gunn has said that the people, the actors who are voicing the characters in these animated projects will play them in live action. So we have, of course, got Frank Grillo playing Rick Flag Sr. You've got Maria Bakalova playing Princess Ilana Rostovich. Indra Verma, who's been in a ton of sci-fi of late that I've been watching, she's playing the bride. Zoe Chow is in there as Nina Mazursky. Alan Tudyk, who's like a huge genre darling. Like he's if you
Speaking of
know
Doom
your
Patrol,
exactly, like Alan he's he's playing Doctor Phosphorus. David Harbour, like, Stranger Things, of course, he's in the new Gran Turismo movie. Everything he touches recently seems to turn to gold. Ironically enough, David Harbour was in the original Suicide Squad movie as one of those, like, military government types. And back, well before his, career, took off, with Stranger Things, but he was in that movie, he was, like, as basically a character actor. And he's gonna be playing Eric Frankenstein. And then of course you got Sean Gunn, like he played Diesel. G.I. Joe, he's gonna play two characters, G.I. Robot and Weasel. He's reprising his Weasel role from the Suicide Squad, which
yep.
I don't know how well. I don't think this Weasel is exactly the same Weasel as. Again, we've talked about how the canon maybe is not quite the same as the
Okay.
DCEU. But Steve Agee is going to be back, as John Economist. Yeah, John Economist. He's been in Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. So we've got so many actors here who some we are familiar with from previous DC works, whether those are part of the new DCU continuity or not, as well as a lot of these actors like Frank Grillo. He was in Marvel, like he's already been in the superhero genre. Alan Tudyk is a big veteran of the genre. Then you got Indra Verma, who's been in a lot of other big high and sci-fi projects, these high concept, whether they're TV or movies. So they've clearly cast this show not just for an average animation like one of those DC animated universe movies. They've cast this so that they can take these characters into live action in the future. Like I personally am like really excited to see Alan Tudyk, Frank
Oh yeah.
Grillo, so many of these, yeah, like Steve Agee. I want to see how his character fits into the mix.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
I'm still sort of confused as to like I felt like I don't know, maybe it was just me. I got the implication that this was going to be something that took place like in a post World War One, World War Two era, but it seems like this is a present day situation. And one of the reasons maybe I was thinking that is because I'm like, okay, well, Rick Flag Senior, so there must be a Rick Flag because we have had a Rick Flag in the two Suicide Squad movies. We know like he gets killed off in the second one, but I was like, so I assumed that the Rick Flag Senior was no longer around. But then again, like if it's a clean slate, then maybe Rick Flag isn't around and Rick Flag Senior is. So who knows? Um, I certainly will miss Joel Kinnaman playing Rick Flag. One of my favorites from both of the Suicide Squad movies. Still kind of mad they killed him off in the second one. I'm not. I haven't gotten
No
over
one is
that one.
safe.
I get that, but I'm like, like it
I
didn't.
know, I
I
know a
don't
lot
know.
of people were upset
Anyway.
about that and Captain Boomerang, so,
Yeah, I'm one of those like, oh, Captain Boomerang, they wasted that character in the first half of that movie. So much potential, especially the way they played him. I'm like, it was so much fun to see him back in that. Like, he was one of the best parts about the first movie, especially like, just like the accent alone and just like his kind of comic relief, but also like, what's the name? I'm forgetting the name of the actor who played him, but um,
Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney. Yeah, I mean, he had the range to kinda give it the character a little more gravitas in, like, the heavier moments, so that he wasn't always, like, the Joker in every scene, but when he was, like, I think he was very well cast, and I maybe hey, look, maybe if the canon is new and, everything is fresh again, then maybe Captain Boomerang could be back in this new continuity, and maybe Jack Courtney can come back playing the character, and then we'll really know that the Suicide Squad is not canon because he very
Yeah.
much died in that.
To be
So
fair, no one's ever really gone when it comes to comic book movies. We thought Barry Allen was dead for 23 years, and look how that turned out. So,
yeah,
it's up in the air.
exactly. What was the character that Nathan Fillion played in the Suicide Squad? That
Arm fall off boy,
yeah, so, was that
or
or the one
something like that.
some
Well,
like
at
it
least the
was
inspiration was it for that.
yeah, because he kind of like yeah he falls apart into pieces but we assume he dies in that first like storming the beach scene in the beginning of the Suicide Squad, and James Gunn has said on multiple times on social media that technically he's not exactly dead, like he was just
Yeah.
in pieces. They could have put him back together again. So although like Nathan Fillion is going to be playing one of the Green Lanterns in the new Superman Legacy, so I guess that might rule it out, but who knows. Yeah, I'm excited to see this new show come out. I'm excited to see just how weird they get with it. I would love to see how it ties into the larger story of the DCU. We may not get a ton of insight into that until later projects, but certainly we'll get to see like Amanda Waller in there, Steve Agee's character. What's his name? Some John Economist, which is a cool name, cool last name. For a character that's so understated on whenever we see him on camera, I'm like that sounds like a name of a villain. But anyway. Or maybe I'm onto something there. Who knows? All right, Creature Commandos, guys. Let us know what you guys think about it. It's going to be kind of in the same vein as the Suicide Squad or Doom Patrol. It's going to kick off the new DCU continuity in 2024 next year, and it's going to be like that appetizer or that aperitif that you have before your meal that will be Superman Legacy in 2025 that will kick off the new DCU continuity on a grand scale. But in the lead up to it, we get this, much smaller scale animated show with a bunch of actors that we will probably get to see portray and reprise their roles in live action, unless they die in the animated show, which could happen. I can certainly see like Alan Tudyk, his character getting knocked off early. He tends to play a lot of characters that get killed off or does like recurring roles. But anyway, I digress. Let us know in the comments below, guys, what you think about Creature Commanders. Are you excited about this show coming up? And of course, like and subscribe for more content like this. We keep talking about DC projects, all things DC Comics, DC EU, and DCU in the coming weeks, days, months, and hopefully years to come. And we're looking forward to all of these new projects and so much more. So keep checking back here for more updates like this every day.